Hi everyone, my name is Aparna Bhatia, and this week's tech tip is going to be about how to frame a hip end truss. So here we have a small little hip end here, but in order for us to start the hip end command, we need to first make sure we have a girder truss so that the hip end can actually attach to something. So first, let's go ahead and go into MWF, switch to our truss module. We're going to select common so that we have some common trusses placed here. Select your main ridge line. For me, I'll be picking the top. Select your supports. I'm going to select that wall and that wall there. Hit finish. You can choose where you want your alignment to be. I'll choose center of my structural layer, and I want it to be the same for the other wall. Then over here, I can choose my spacing for my trusses. I will keep it at 1 foot. And then I can choose if I want to offset from outer face. I'll set that to 2 inches. Hit OK. And there you go. We have our common trusses drawn. You'll notice there isn't one over here at this tip. We can always copy one over if we want to, or we can place it another way. Now we can go into girder trusses here. We can select that. And we can choose our supports. So again, we'll select the 2 options here. Then we'll choose our hip lines. So for this, I like to be in 3D so I can see the 2 outer ridge lines. Since I chose this one as the outer one, I'll choose these as well as the outer and hit finish. And similar to the structural layer, I'll select center of the structural layer and hit OK. The offset from hip intersect, since I didn't get a truss at that hip intersect, I can set it to 0 and it will actually place one. And then over here, for my minimum height, the shortest truss I would like it to create is 2 feet tall. And then the spacing, I'll leave it at 1 foot to match what we had there. And then over here, I'll set this to 2 inches for my offset from outer face. Hit OK. You will now notice we have some girder trusses placed, and you'll see that the shorter ones are here too. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go to this view here like so, and I'm only going to keep this one and this one. I'm going to get rid of the rest. And filter, you can just uncheck roof and walls, and those 3 envelopes are what we want to get rid of. They're model groups. Okay, so now what we are going to do is go ahead and frame the hip end. We can go to hip over here. You can either individually frame each part, or you can just choose hip end and then choose your hip lines. So this one and that one. Hit finish. Choose side support. Again, choose the center. Choose side support 2, which is this one. Center. OK. And then the end support, which will be this end. Center. OK. Then you can choose your last truss. So I'm going to choose this as my last truss. And then over here, you can specify your spacing. I'll set it to 1 foot. And then your hip offset from hip girder, again, I'll set that to 1 foot. Minimum length, the shortest truss I want is 1 foot in height. And then over here, offset from outer face is again 2 inches. You can set up your detailing tolerances and setback offsets based on the sizes the member sizes you're going to be using. The detailing tolerance is basically the line over here is the center of the member. So if you're using a 4-inch member, you might want a detailing tolerance of half that size. So 2 inches is what you would put in here. I'm going to leave them to 1 just to see how this works. It all depends on the type of truss you're creating, whether it's back-to-back or a wall truss. You will set these up accordingly. All right, so you'll see when it says 1 inch and 1 inch, I'll show you what that means. So once that is done, hit OK. Let's give that a second. You'll notice over here, there's this 1-inch gap here, and that's your detailing tolerance. And then this 1-inch gap here between the vertical line going here to that edge point, that is your setback offset for the vertical member that's going to be placed over here. Okay, and that's basically how you create the profiles for a hip end really quickly. You can go ahead and design all of these trusses using the truss designer the typical way. You would go click on any envelope and go ahead and hit create. That's it for this week's tech tip. Have a great